Hello, I'm attorney Vernita Williams. I practice law here in South Florida, and I want to talk to you today about heir property. When you don't want to sell, but the other owners of the heir property do want to sell. This could be a really touchy situation. So I practice law here in South Florida, and I do a lot of probate cases, and I have the opportunity to work with a lot of families in heir property situations. And sometimes some of the owners want to sell, sometimes they don't want to sell. So what if you are one of the owners who just don't want to sell, but it's some other people who want to sell? So now you might not want to sell for your various reasons. Maybe you have, sentimental feelings towards the property. Maybe you are living there in the property and living there rent-free and mortgage-free. And maybe the notion of having to go and start paying rent or buy something is just not one you want to even think about. So what if you don't want to sell, but other folk want to sell? So as I think of all the challenges related to heir property, I want to share with you 3 things that you might consider if you are in the position where you don't want to sell, but other people do want to sell. So now, with heir property, let me just describe what it is. Heir property is property that was once owned by a person's mother and father, or grandmother and grandfather. Those ancestors have passed away generally, and now the property is owned by several family members. So if you are in a situation where you don't want to sell and other people want to sell, 9 times out of 10, nobody's going to do anything to begin a sale. A lot of times people will just talk in families, oh, it's a shame that one is over there in the house, and I want to sell and they don't want to sell. And sometimes it comes to a place where whoever wants to sell will do something called a partition action. They open a court case to force the sale of the property. Most people would just talk about heir property and they won't go that far. But if you are in a situation where you don't want to sell and somebody else does want to sell, and they have gone to the extent of identifying all the owners of the property, hiring a lawyer, talking to you from a lawyer, and even filing a partition case, I want to give you some suggestions if you're the one who doesn't want to sell. First of all, if you don't want to sell the property and you know who all the owners of the property are, you may, number one, go to people who are co-owners and see if they are willing to give you their ownership interest in the property. Let's say it's 10 owners and all 10 people own 1/10 interest in the property, and you own your 1/10, but maybe there are 3 or 4 people who are willing to just give you their 1/10 for whatever reason. They want you to stay there, or they think you've been keeping the property up very well, or it really doesn't matter to them, so they don't mind giving it to you. If there are people who will give you their ownership interest, then take it. Let them give you a quitclaim deed and take it if they're willing to give you their part. That's the first thing you can do. The more ownership interest you have, the more you're leverage in the situation. The second thing, there may be some people who will give you their ownership interest for a small payment. Some people will say, well, I'm not going to just give you a quitclaim deed and give it to you for free, but if you give me $500 or $1,000 or whatever, I will sign a quitclaim deed and give you my part. If you're in a position to buy it for a small amount, then it's a good thing if you do that. So the more ownership interest you have, if you want to keep the property and you don't want to sell it, the better your bargaining position. The third thing is this: someone may force the sale of the property by starting a partition action, which is a lawsuit that is one filed by someone who is saying to the court, I don't want to co-own with all these people. I want my part of the money out. let me out. So if that happens, my third suggestion to you is, if you can and you still want to keep that property, you might be interested in buying out the person who initiated the partition action. You know, every family situation is different. This might not work for you. It is largely dependent upon the personalities in the family and what people think they should be getting out of the property, and whether they want to keep the property or whether they want to sell it. So it's a lot of factors to consider. I'm attorney Vernita Williams. If you would like to discuss this further, and if you would like us to devise a strategy that might work for you, please visit my website, vcwlaw.com, and contact me, or you can call me or text me at 786-831-9483.